Hello, this is Craig Resnick coming to you from the ARC Advisory Group, our 2021 virtual forum entitled Accelerating Digital Transformation in a Post-COVID World. With me today is my special guest from AVEVA, the CEO, Craig Hayman. How you doing today, Craig?
Good to see you, Craig. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks so much for being here today. Certainly a very timely topic. We certainly know that AVEVA is known for helping industries to embrace digital transformation, but in this crazy year, what was some of the innovations that you've seen over this past year, and how do you think the pandemic has helped changes industry's overall approach to digitalization?
Yeah, I mean, Craig, as you and I have talked about separately, I mean, my word, what a year. I think we've seen 5 years of digital transformation in the industrial sector. And this was, a sector for decades that had been using digital technology, but somewhat slow to adopt it at scale, maybe perhaps a laggard as compared to other industries. Well, that all changed a year ago, I think. We saw these chief technology officers that have been put in place by industrial companies around the world. As everyone went to work remotely, they already had business cases and proof points that digital projects worked, either reduced operational expense or added certainty to capital projects. And so we saw those chief digital officers have a louder voice inside these companies. And that meant that these digital projects really accelerated. I mean, just two big ones here, Craig, is cloud and AI. I think in the industrial sector, many companies had said, well, here's the long list of reasons why we don't do cloud. And of course, after everyone's working remotely, it turns out cloud is the only way you can do certain things. Just as a quick example.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And speaking of cloud, and a lot of times when I think of AVEVA, I think of innovation, and I think of coming up with new products and processes. I also really think of your company's adherence to open standards, and we all know how vital that is to be able to compete today. So how are you encouraging AVEVA to continue to go forward with its innovation and its adherence to open standards?
Yeah, I mean, openness is a big question comes up. I was just thinking about customers like Genentech and in a vaccine delivery, Enel Energy, who I was just on with recently this week. Open standards is top of mind for them because they want to serve the here and now, but they want to work with, the world is naturally diverse and they want to be able to interoperate with everybody. And so we are, of course, absolutely committed to open standards. And that flows into how we work. We have a pretty big company now inside of AVEVA, and so open standards help us communicate internally. It's easy to point to an open standard in some way when we're building connectivity between our different products. And so when you think about the scale of how we build products, we invest pretty heavily in research and development. It's about 15% of our total spend in any given year. It's quite high, and that funds these Scrum teams. There's probably 10 to 12 people on a Scrum team. They were co-located. Now they're remotely co-located. And every 90 days, we reprioritize what that Scrum team works on based on what we hear from our customers. And of course, that Scrum team's work interfaces with the other Scrum team's work. And we have 150 of those teams. So every 90 days, we're pushing again those Scrum teams in some other net new innovation. So of course, security becomes important. That became part of the pandemic. Ensuring everything is locked down so we can work securely and safely during and remotely. Ensuring that we have standard ways of separating the concerns of the different services that we provide. Increasingly the use of cloud, and then rolling in sort of advanced algorithms. So, just some of the examples we have through this is, I'll give you security. How our cloud solution now, we've progressed a lot in the last 12 months. You sign on the same way that you would sign on to your standard directory system. Like if you work for a company, you sign into Office or something, you don't see Microsoft sign in, you see your sign in as a company. Well, it's the same here. You see the sign in for your company, and then you're seeing the services from AVEVA being rendered up to you, whether that's for engineering or construction or for handover or for the operations of the facility. And then sort of bring this all the way back to innovation. We've filed dozens of patents in the past 12 months in areas where we've discovered new ways of working, where it's exciting.
Speaking of new ways of working, the two terms that have certainly become extremely popular over the last year have been sustainability and operational resilience. And this whole becoming ever more important, especially in this post-pandemic environment. But how do you believe that digital transformation can support operational resilience and sustainable outcomes? And what is AVEVA doing about this?
Yeah, look, we think, or certainly I think about this as our footprints as a company, what we do as a company, but we're a software company, so frankly, it's not that big. Our biggest footprint used to be people on airplanes, which we haven't done in a while. That's our footprint. And then our handprints, how are we helping other companies, our customers, reduce their footprint on the world? And so this comes down to, frankly, tackling climate change during a time of energy transition. As was pointed out to me recently, the world has gone through multiple energy transitions. That we're in one now is really not new. It's just what we're transitioning from and to. We see the total investment in CapEx for renewables exceeding fossil-based CapEx investments just this year. So this idea of circularity. So how can you get circularity in your operations? How can you accelerate this energy transition to renewables, and then give some level of transparency into the operations? And look, it's not all plain sailing here with renewables. Or as someone described, actually, it was the founder of OSIsoft, was Dr. J. Patrick Kennedy described it to me. He talks about these as intermittents because they go up and down a lot, versus a traditional energy facility, would just run for maybe 12 months or so, or 3 months. Intermittents go up and down, literally with the wind or the sun. And so that creates a lot more data, a lot more opportunity to optimize that. And so our focus is that entire life cycle, from the construction of these facilities to the handover of them, and then to the operations of them. I mean, even that we've changed our commercial model to align with the operational view of the world. And look, when you think about energy consumption in the world, different countries are at different stages. Some countries are well on the way to an energy transition. Others are just coming online, and they're trying to elevate education and clean water and electricity for their citizens. And so they're at different places. And our intent is to help all of these customers, no matter where they are in the transition.
Yeah, I know that brings us to kind of the next topic, which is, these new kind of disruptive technologies that seem to also be finding their way to the plant floor. So what disruptive solutions do you think represent the biggest opportunity for your customers in this certainly rapidly changing environment, and how is AVEVA responding to that?
Yeah, and Craig, look, our customers are involved in what I call is the sort of the staples of our life. So it's like food and medicine and power and energy and things like this. And so when you think about that, is they have their supply chains in sort of batch process and hybrid industries. Their supply chains aren't that optimal, have not been that optimized. So it turns out by more digital technology in the manufacturing processes, you can optimize the supply chain or the value chain, as it like. Secondly, you can take operational cost out and increase reliability. And you put more data in front of the people who run those businesses. This is what we do this over and over around the world. So Starbucks. You might have had a cup of Starbucks coffee, and that coffee bean is roasted in a facility, a roastery facility, and that software is controlled through AVEVA software. That's the sort of the recipe of the roasting based on the type of bean, wherever that came from, based on altitude and moisture, and we apply that consistently, repeatedly, reliably, day in and day out for Starbucks. And so this allows this information to be available, sort of, if you think about it, from the shop floor to the top floor, right? From the people actually roasting the beans and dealing with the really hard problems of running those facilities, all the way up to those sort of looking at the broader supply chain and operational aspects of Starbucks. So think about, take the data, use it for the supply chain, take the data, use it for operations, take the data, and now start to look at it and try to predict what will happen based on that data and understand what is your best path forward based on that data. I mean, we do this all day and all night, right? As humans, we look at the data every day and we try to predict what's going to happen next. I think the same is happening here with our customers.
Yeah, which brings up the next topic, which is, as you're taking this data and applying the right analytics software to create the actionable insights, what are the foundations of this kind of intelligent asset performance approach? And what does your company offer to support customers who are looking at elevating their performance in this way?
Yeah, I think this idea of performance, right? You want to get better. No matter what it is you do, you want to get better at it. So one of the ways you do that is not based on how you feel, but based on the data. So, and frankly, the more data you have, the better you can understand where you are and where you want to go. And so we think about this as, actually, this is what led us to OSIsoft and the Pi system, is we started to think about, well, look, as every engineer knows, the more data you have, you're in the better position you are in to make a decision. And the more that everyone looks at the same data, the better position you are to have the team move with you. And so our view is the data in the industrial sector, it's different from running a desktop productivity application or a financial services system. But the data you're looking at has a scope. So maybe you've got a compressor or a series of pumps or chambers, and you're collecting the data not just from one manufacturer, but maybe a dozen manufacturers around that piece of equipment. You're looking at the scope of that data, and then you're looking at the scale of it. Maybe you have 1,000 of those in your facility. So you've got scope and scale, and that data is flowing through, and you want to be able to tap into it like you would fish in a river and understand where can you tap into it at the right time and the right place. And that's where artificial intelligence comes in. That's where cloud comes in. Because, Craig, I think, again, as you've written about many times, it's just unprecedented how much cheap cloud capacity and raw horsepower that we have access to now, that now we can start doing something with these sort of mass volumes of data.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It was difficult for us to say that we all predicted what would happen in 2020. I don't think any of us were that good at prognosticators, but if you're doing your forecasting for the next 5 years, what do you see as the biggest global economic trends that you think will help your business going forward? And at the same time, what do you think are going to be some of the biggest opportunities for AVEVA as a result of those trends?
Yeah, I mean, just to get a little personal for a second, I think the pandemic has made us think about what's important, and what's important in your life, what's important in your business. And I think one of the things that's common for me and for AVEVA and our customers is time. Time is very precious. So the 5-year plan has become not the 3-day plan. The 5-year plan has become the 1-day plan. It's become the now plan. Why would you put it off? If you know what you're going to do it. What are you waiting for? And so I think that really that sentiment has sort of filtered around our customer base around the world. And it's a terrible thing, the pandemic, but why would you go back to how you did it before? You have an opportunity to reset it. And so you don't have to go back to what you were doing 12 months ago. You can do those things that you thought you were going to do. So mechanically, what that means is return on investment under 12 months. Deploy software in days or weeks, maybe even hours. Figure out how to build trust and partnership with your vendors, with your suppliers, with your customers, so that you can learn together. It's a journey. I think that has been quite a substantial trend, and I'll revisit trust. We spent a lot of time inside of AVEVA sort of talking about, that's one of our differentiators, is that over 50 years, customers have trusted us. We've built trust with customers, and partnership combined with innovation is really, I think, what we do well.
But Craig, thank you so much for being here today. This was great. This was Craig Hayman, CEO of AVEVA, with you today from the ARC Virtual Forum 2021. This is Craig Resnick. Thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone.